Browns stadium updates. There were more stadium updates that came out today, or not today, the last couple days, really. There was a rendering that came out, and it was a video flyover, and you got to see inside the new Huntington Bank Field, and you got to see what all of that development around the new stadium would look like. And of course, a letter came out from the city, because that's how we've been doing this in this billionaire, millionaire petty off, is what I like to call it. So Bibbs released this letter. I'm just showing it on the screen briefly. Go check it out on Twitter. It's straight from Bibbs's Instagram account, or Twitter account. Sorry. But the main talking point here is their scheme relies on an average ticket price nearing 700, parking rates north of 100, increasing taxes for hotels, parking, blah, 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 blah. We'll get into that in a second. I don't want to ramble too long. What did you think of the flyover, real quick, John, just to talk nicely before we get into some of the pettiness?
It was really well done. And whoever they paid to render that and to do the mock flyover, I think did a nice job. And thinking about having a facility like that in Cleveland is crazy. It's angular and it's different, but like I'm getting like SoFi vibes. The Viking Stadium, I think it's still US Bank. It looks great. So to start with the niceties, having something like that in Cleveland would be awesome. Now, would I rather have it on the lakefront than on the airport front? Yeah, I probably would. They're not the Brook Park Browns, but like I always allude to, I'm old enough to remember the city fighting with an owner and the team ending up in Baltimore and us having no football. So if this is where we're headed, great. $700 ticket prices, not great. I'm not going to ever see this facilities if that's what it costs for tickets, but we'll get into that a little bit more. What did you think of the flyover, Noah?
More of the same. I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks elegant. I hope it's not too expensive and prices all of us out. You, especially being a father of many, and trying to decide where your dollars, not your daughters, sorry, your dollars go. I mean, I guess your daughters would be going with you to the stadium, so it still makes sense.
Oh no chance in hell. $700 ticket.
Well, if we'll get into that in a second, but you're trying to decide what family fun looks like, what a couple beers with the bros look like. I don't want to see that. I don't think that really screams Cleveland Browns. It screams a little too bougie for our blue collar town, and that's coming from a corporate, two corporate guys over here, basically. With that being said, you've echoed the same sentiment that I've always said. Of course, I'd love it downtown. Brook Park makes way too much sense. Blase, blah. Let's get into the drama. Yeah. So, Bibbs releases that.
I do think it's hilarious that they always do these artist renditions and make it look like they're building a new Louvre in Paris where it's going to be clean. Right. And they should do a flyover with people like pissing off of balconies into trees from the second story and throwing beer cans at each other and pounding Steelers fans. Like it might be a new stadium, but it's going to be the same old Browns fans. Like, where's the tailgating and people like getting a little liquored up before the game? That's what I was looking for in the flyover, but I guess it doesn't sell people as much as it would to make it look like it's the next great mall of America or something.
110%. So I said the Bibbs letter. I'm going to read the Browns portion of that letter, and then we'll react to it a little bit and go from there. All right. So the Browns released this to Bibbs, Haslam Sports Group. While we respect the mayor and county executives, the facts are facts. We have detailed the work, compliant in collaboration with their team, blah, 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 blah. You can read all of this online, I believe. I can't remember who posted this off of the top of my head. What it basically says is the pricing is not true in Bibbs's letter whatsoever. And we're looking at, basically 3 times less than that. So 700 divided by 3, whatever that number is. What do you think about the Browns' response?
$233 average ticket price is still high for Cleveland, but at least that's feasible, and that's average. So you can get in for cheaper. That's more feasible. I don't know, man. On the one hand, I'm like, I would really prefer they stay downtown, and I appreciate Bibb throwing it out there to try to keep them there. On the other, owner of Browns fights with mayor of Cleveland and leads to disaster is a storyline I'm familiar with, so I'd like to see them figure it out. I would much rather they end up in Brook Park than Baltimore or someplace else. Um, at the end of the day, though, it's just kind of irritating, right? Like she said, smearing each other, calling names, and like get together, have a meeting, hash it out, get the lawyers in the room, go to some cabin in the woods for a weekend and say we're not leaving until we figure this situation out and fix it. Like that's what people expect of the mayor when they vote for him. That's what people expect of billionaires who are supposed to be master negotiators and businessmen. Like really my initial reaction to all this is like stop bitching and figure it out. You got more money than God and you're the mayor of Cleveland and we're tweeting about each other. Like give me a fucking break. That's really what I think. I'm sick of both of them. Like
No,
put them at I live in Lakewood and St. Ed's plays in my backyard. I'll go watch the Browns there. I don't like give me an option. You know what I mean? Stop bickering.
yeah, I the bickering's funny to me because at the end of the day, I think we have all accepted that the Brook Park Browns is happening and it's moving forward. They just need to tell the city to continue to F off, basically. So they can bicker all they want. But when Haslam's offering to pitch in a majority of the money and it not fall as much on taxpayers, like they are gunning hard, harder than most owners would for a project like this. I just hope it doesn't, to go back to the ticket prices and all that, because yes, I think it would be great to have a dome. Yes, I want to have a world-class facility where we can have WrestleMania, another SummerSlam. We could have the Final Four and the national championship and the Super Bowl, whatever you want to say that we could throw in this venue. If it is going to price out me and John, the average Clevelander, because it's too expensive and they have to upcharge everything because of X, Y, and Z factors, that's what I'm most concerned about at the end of the day. And whatever plan is going to work the best in terms of keeping it feasible for us, the Clevelanders, to still root for the Browns and go and root for the Browns and not have to only watch it on TV, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I think it's you said something there, and not to get too economical, but in terms of the actual average Clevelander, you and I are probably a little bit north of that scale, if not significantly, compared to like the mill workers and the guys we tailgate with
Right.
downtown. A lot of these guys aren't, $240 tickets is wild, but yeah, man, I just want them to get it figured out. I do know this, and I've been around, I'm not as wise as my grandparents were, but this is my year that I'll turn 40. I've been around the block a few times, and I think billionaires get what they want a whole hell of a lot more often than they don't. So if you got a bet on this and you're wondering where it's going to land, Brook Park, I agree with you 100%, Noah. There's no chance in hell that if that's what Jimmy and D want to do, that's not where this is going to end up. It's just a question of how ugly it gets and how long they debate and how far they delay the project before they figure it all out. So I do not see a realistic path to the Browns stadium staying in Cleveland.
No, not unless the city does something absolutely insane. And the Modell law isn't that insane thing. I don't know what that insane thing would be, but I'm just ready for us to allocate, and not to get all political here at the end of the show, allocate the city funds to things that can help mature and grow the city outside of the stadium, because it's a losing battle. A lot of these NFL teams move to the suburbs and still do just fine in terms of helping the city academy. Yes, is it going to take a hit a little bit? Of course. But at the end of the day, this is unfortunately for the city and us who like going to downtown for Cleveland Browns games, what's best for business, in my opinion.
I will say there is one. I mean, there's a silver lining to every gray cloud. So depending on where you come out on the whole Browns moving to Brook Park thing, I know a lot of people are pissed about it. It does solve one problem that I thought was irritating, and that's where do they play if they build a new stadium there? They have to raise that one and then build it where that one stands, which means the Browns would be displaced for at least 2 years, almost certainly 3, potentially 4.
Right.
They were talking about the Browns playing their home games at the Shoe in Columbus, and I was like, oh, gag, throw up. Like, the Browns got to be in Cleveland. They're going to be in Columbus until
For sure.
2030. Like, get out of here. That is wild. So, playing the shithole that is the current stadium until you figure out the new one, wherever else you build it, that is one upside to something that most people don't want to hear, is that the Browns will at least be in Cleveland.